Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rachelle Anne Miller YouTube channel. Today I'm featuring a birthday card with the Hoppy Birthday Bunny digital stamp by Rachelle Anne Miller. I just love this adorable bunny. I truly am a bunny person. And I realized that when this digital stamp was released with others, that I didn't feature the bunny. I featured the owl and I think the bear, but not the bunny. So in case you didn't use this one like I didn't, then it's a time to take this lovely digital stamp and start playing with it. The lovely thing about this is if you want to use just the bunny, you can just leave off all the rest of the images and sentiments, but I truly adore this sentiment, how she added in different styles the different words. So I definitely wanted to use it. I am going to make a landscape card today with some pattern paper and just some colored cardstock. Truly so simple, everyone can do it, and if you need multiple cards, it is really easy and quick to make. So for the coloring, you can find all of the combinations listed below in the description box. I'm listing all of my Copic markers there for each part of this digital stamp. So here for the bunny, I went with a really soft brown. I'm using E35, E34, E30, and for the inner sides of the ears, I'm using E11. So really simple. The first layer, if you find that with your Copics the blend isn't really working, don't worry about it. As you can see here, the E30 is really light, but I'm going to fix that with my second layer here. It always helps me, a second layer at least, to get that blend that I want, and sometimes I even need more and I will just add multiple layers if I need to. But what I did here to have like a nice transition between the E34 and E30 was to do the tip-to-tip method, where you bring your lightest marker to the tip of your darker one, and that will absorb a tiny bit of that ink, and then you can go to your image and you have like a mixture of the two. It will not ruin the lightest marker. It will get rid of it immediately, and then you can just continue with the lightest color truly. So the mouse is a bit a grayish brown, really light as well. I didn't want to go overboard with dark colors or too much contrast. Rachelle Anne Miller has such adorable images, and I love a good contrast, I must admit that. But from time to time, definitely with her digital stamps, it is so precious if you can keep it light and soft and sweet. So that's what I tried doing today. For the birthday itself, I'm just using the BG11. I'm not going to do any shadowing or whatsoever. I am going to take a white jelly roll pen later on and add dots all over, just to have a bit more details. But I did nothing fancy there, just making sure that my coloring was consistent. And wherever I go outside the lines, I just use a colorless blender to help me push back that color that went everywhere. So here's my white jelly roll pen, and I just started adding dots everywhere on each letter. You can also do a bit of doodling and have a letter with dots, have a letter with stripes, and so on. But I just did the dots everywhere here. Really simple. I also added the white jelly roll pen to the eyes. Rachelle always takes care of that highlight, but whenever I'm coloring, I most of the time go over it, and then I have like these brown highlights in the eyes, which is not the idea. So I just take my white jelly roll pen there and just fix that like that. So almost done here with the coloring, with the details, and then we will continue with the card design. I must admit that, well, actually the idea came along while I was searching for some pattern paper to go with another design, and I found this pattern paper with the dots from Longfon, from the stripes and sprinkles. paper pack, and I was so in love with it. And then I saw it with like craft cardstock, well, actually the wheat cardstock from Concord and Mind, and it worked so well that I actually looked for a digital stamp that would go well, or well, I just looked in my basket with all the digital stamps from Rachelle that I already printed out to make one day into a card whenever I got some extra time. And I found this one, and then I was okay, I can just take that blue and start coloring with that blue for the details on my card. So that's how that came together. Now, to decide where I needed to trim, I just took this triangle to measure up the 14 centimeters for an A2 sized card. An American A2 size is 14 centimeters, but I have no clue in the other measure kind of things what it is. So just 14 centimeters. And then I trimmed it down to go well on my panel. It was a bit trial and error because my first idea of the width of this color piece was a bit too wide, so I needed to trim it even, well, I needed to trim it down even more, but that's okay, it's just a process. So here I didn't trim the final side because I just will do that once I adhered it on top of my card base, and that way I am sure that it is exactly the size of the width of this card base, instead of just lacking, for example, a millimeter. I don't want that. So I just keep one of the sides like that, and then we can adhere. I'm just making sure that I trim it down straight because I'm really horrible at that. I love dies. I must admit it, dies are life, because they at least have their corners straight, and so I don't need to worry. But in this case, I had to trim it down myself. It worked out fine. So here, as you can see, I adhered it, and now I'm just going to trim down that excess piece, and then we can add the brown. So this is a craft cardstock, or the wheat cardstock from Concord and Mind, and I'm just going to trim down 2 small slivers. I'm not really measuring, I'm trying to have it the same width, and I think I kind of succeeded, but I didn't really measure it afterwards. So I'm using some liquid glue, and I'm just adding that on the wide area still, and I will use a triangle actually to push that strip in place to make sure it's straight, and then the other side. Also here I have some overhanging. I will trim it down as well, and it will fit perfectly to the size of my card base. That's how I do it. So as you can see, like the brown, it works great when the images are brown as well. If you have other combinations that you want to use, you can change up your coloring. You can change up the critters, the details. You can go rainbow, really lovely as well. But yeah, really simple today, as I promised. So this is actually my card. It is completely finished, and it's so precious in my opinion. So I hope that this card and the video could inspire you. In case you want to revisit the combinations, you can find them in the description box. Thank you so much for being here and watching. I hope you all have an incredible day, and I'll be back soon with some new craft inspiration. Bye!